Hey everyone, first and foremost, I wanted to thank you for stopping by my channel. Welcome to ERRRskate Gaming. Now, this is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I kept putting it off, and I figured, you know what? It's time to do this thing. As the title of the video implies, I wanted to talk about my top gaming moments of 2020. So this is really the first video of this kind I've ever done, so I really wanted to get it right. I never really set out to make top 5 videos when I started this channel, let alone have it be my very first, but it's the end of the year, I figured it was very appropriate, and you know what, we've had a year of really good games, and 2020 has been a year. Like, seriously, can we get off this roller coaster already? I'm done. But like I said, if there's any silver lining here, it's that we got a bunch of really good games in 2020. And some not so good games. We even saw some previously released games that became sleeper hits. With everything going on, I spent a lot more time in front of the TV this year, so I actually played quite a few games released in 2020, which is unusual for me. Now, before we get started, I wanted to reiterate that these choices don't necessarily reflect what I believe to be the best games of 2020, but rather smaller moments in games that were remarkable for me in their own right. In some instances, I'll be talking about the broad narrative aspects of these games, so this will be your first and only spoiler warning. Alright, you've officially been warned, and I'm babbling, so let's get started. The Rhino trashes Manhattan. SpiderMan Miles Morales. SpiderMan Miles Morales is the follow-up to Insomniac's 2018 Spider-Man title. This franchise is as beautiful as ever. I'm playing on PS4, and honestly, I can't even imagine what it's like on PS5. After Miles reveals his powers to Peter Parker, the OG Spider-Man takes him under his wing, and the city gets 2 Spider-Men. While escorting prison convoys back to the raft, the container holding everyone's favorite hot-blooded horned hazard, the Rhino, breaks down, and he fucks
Hey, whoa!
Shit
Oh! Hey, Jonah! Looking good!
Up. I really love this scene because, for one, it's a hell of a way to start a game.
Oh, hey, sorry, happy holidays!
But really, it displays how deeply Insomniac understands the spontaneity and momentum that Spider-Man excels at, and tops it with the casual, blasé tone and humor of Spider-Man at his quippiest.
And you're safe? You too? Do you have any non-destructive hobby?
Fly fishing on the Volga!
That sounds nice.
The power over life and death
Baby,
excites me.
let's nice. Gotcha. Thank you. You're welcome.
When the Rhino takes Peter down, Miles has to step up and take him on himself. Armed with some newly discovered Venom shock powers, Miles gets the upper hand and takes him down. It's a very strong way to establish Miles, start his solo journey, and let the player know this is a brand new-ish Spider-Man game. When everything finally clicks, Skater XL. I have a lot to say about this game, but I'll try and keep this as brief and focused as possible. Skater XL will be getting its own video down the line. Skater XL is admittedly a bit of an odd choice, but if you know anything about your boy, then you know that I love skateboarding with all my heart. Now, the game doesn't have anything in the way of scripted or any wow moments, really. They just kind of give you some maps and they say, hey, go nuts. Past a couple quick tutorials and some ignorable map challenges, the game really just gives you the keys to these big playgrounds and throws you in the deep end without a paddle. Even in the vanilla version, the game boasts a really rich and complex control scheme that takes a bit of an adjustment period, though becomes easier if you got what I like to call skate brain. Along the way, the player sort of gets an epiphany or an aha moment, where you see the gameplay for what it is and what it's truly capable of, and the game really opens up. This is when the game really becomes that virtual skate playground. When you stop flailing around, taking anything you can get, and really start exerting control over the skater and the environment. It was only after all of this that I really understand what Skater XL is about, and attaining that understanding really elevated my love for the game.
Don't ever let me see you again.
Abby spares Dina. The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I know this game is really divisive. I know a lot of people really didn't like it. I am not one of those people. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was strong from a narrative standpoint, and it really feels like the natural evolution of the first from a gameplay perspective. If anything, I thought it was maybe a bit too long. But to me, The Last of Us Part 2 more than anything is about the perpetual cycle of violence that started with good but selfish intentions at the end of the first game. Dozens of people have already talked about this game in far better terms than I could ever hope to, but I felt the desire to address this scene. So the journey for revenge vaguely goes as follows. Joel kills an unarmed scientist to save Ellie's life, which sparks Abby's journey of revenge. Abby tracks down Joel years later and exacts revenge for the murder of the scientist, her father, in devastating and brutal fashion. Abby kills Joel in front of Jelly. She murders Joel in front of Ellie, prompting her to go on her own blood-soaked journey for revenge. Our two protagonists' stories converge when Abby finds Owen and a pregnant Mel dead at the aquarium and tracks Ellie down to a nearby theater. Abby and her new companion Lev confront Tommy, catching the attention of Ellie and Jesse. Abby shoots Jesse in the face, killing him instantly and seriously wounds Tommy. Then Ellie and Abby face each other for the first time and they get into a cat and mouse standoff. The sequence is an intense and bloody avenue of storytelling, giving the player a grim knockdown drag-out between the two. From the perspective of Abby, the player sneaks around the theater trying to take pot shots and sneak attacks on Ellie. We spent the last few hours of this journey with both of these women, and really Ellie for even longer than that, so it's really jarring to see them come to such brutal blows, and I mean brutal. They've both killed and lost so much, but they're still ready to dole out more violence, punishment, and death. Abby gets the upper hand on Ellie, and Dina steps in and tries to kill her, but is quickly thwarted. Dina's own knife to her throat, Ellie begs Abby not to kill her, telling Abby that she's pregnant. Remembering Mel, Abby just says good and continues to kill Dina, only to be dissuaded by Lev. She realizes how out of hand this has all gotten, takes a step back and decides to show Dina mercy. This was really powerful to me because it's in this moment that Abby ultimately looks at the sum total of this endless fighting and death and refuses to take part in it any longer. This decision mirrors one later in the game where Ellie finally has Abby right where she wants her after another brutal fight. She's confronted with the same choice, to kill Abby or finally let it go and end the meaningless cycle of violence. Something she's ultimately incapable of seeing before she loses more to it. That's just a powerful statement to me, that while not wholly original, leaves a very pointed statement in a world where nothing comes easier without heartbreak. Where there are possibly no happy endings. The Hell House, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII is such a ride. It's an absolutely brilliant game that pays so much respect to its forebearer while carving out its own path in a bunch of exciting new ways. It's built on stunning visuals, an incredible soundtrack, and frenetic, fun gameplay, and a reintroduction to the story that captivated and created a generation of RPG fans. The game is rife with exciting set pieces and unique challenging boss battles, so you can really pick almost any moment in this game to shine a light on. When I think of the most memorable parts of the game, the Hell House battle is the first that comes to mind. The battle comes from very odd circumstances when Cloud and Aerith fight their way through Don Corneo's underground coliseum for an invitation to one of his auditions. Destroying the competition up to this point, Cloud and Aerith get the rug pulled from under them with a surprise final match, which Madame M doesn't take well.
Ah! You greedy bastard! Scum-sucking piece of festering ass!
It's a very offbeat moment where you essentially fight a robot-haunted house in an underground fight club.
Your friend fought a house. A house?
The concept alone is just cuckoo bananas, and I'm 100% here for it. It was weird in 1997, and it's extravagantly weird in 2020. The music is intensely perfect, deconstructing and mashing up iconic boss battle themes from the original, and it really helps hammer the point on an already incredible moment. Booming percussion, brassy horns, and roaring electric violins make for a uniquely powerful and orchestral experience. It creates a high tension fight worthy of this game. And I really enjoy the way they use music to indicate a new phase in the fight. It's a technique they use throughout the boss fights in the game, but this is a moment where that kinda clicked for me. Everything about this scene is pure, unadulterated cheese in a game full of wild and crazy action sequences. It also does a very good job blending these wild, high-octane sequences with more somber and thoughtful scenes that reflect on the characters and the reality of Midgar. Final Fantasy VII is a flashy, melodramatic spectacle and something truly special. I hadn't given it much thought before writing this, but it may be my favorite game of the year. The whole damn experience. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. So I had to reevaluate how I thought about addressing this game. I was originally going to frame it around making a 5-star island, but it has honestly meant so much more to me over 2020, and I really wanted to look at it in a bit more broad and meaningful way. New Horizons is the 5th title in this wildly popular series, and Nintendo released the game at exactly the right time to make it an even bigger success than expected. With COVID lockdown starting around mid-March in the US, not even a week or two later we were graced with the perfect quarantine game. This game pushed so many Switch units that they were sold out for months on end and brought gamers of all kinds together to meticulously create their own islands, decorate your house to your heart's content, ruthlessly play the stock market, and fish into irreversibly damaged sea life populations to earn bells or fill your museum, hoping to fill that part of the void inside of yourself. What? In the beginning, the player gets bamboozled by that monster Tom Nook to come and build an island town from the ground up, putting themselves through a perpetual cycle of indentured servitude and predatory housing loans. And the reality of the situation is you're kinda stuck. What are you gonna do, swim off the island? Shit. Although, I guess it's better than the alternative. You make animal friends, build your island from scratch, hate everything you've done, go scorched earth, flatten your island, alienate your new animal friends until they resent you, then start all over again in an effort to get your 5-star island from the chatty, judgy Isabelle. Screw you and your bell barrette, Isabelle. Get it? Isabelle? Yeah? No? No? Okay. Jokes aside, putting any bit of effort into the game feels fun and rewarding. I'd like to think of it as a bonsai tree or a giant sand garden for the mind, heart, and soul of my inner child. We pluck, prune, and add giant kaiju and lunar landers to truly express ourselves. And better yet, give your friends a preview into your soul with the 3rd iteration of your island because you needed to tear it all down again. Having your island rating reflect that is such a satisfying feeling, it almost makes you forget you spent 900 hours? What the fuck? Doing this instead of learning how to bake bread or juggle or learn how to cope with your circumstances like a well-adjusted adult. Nuts to that. Install a basketball court. Spend an hour looking at virtual clothing, then make KK Slider play the same song for the 7th week in a row because everyone loves KK Metal. Dress up like a Japanese superhero and patrol the island for monsters. Or just browse Nookazon. You might get lucky. I also really can't oversell the social aspect of this game. I think for some of us, being able to visit your friends' islands, bring them gifts, and just BS around together has been the most fun social relief we could have possibly asked for in 2020. I've made some new friends and reconnected with some old ones in our pursuit to live on an island alone, together. I've also had a couple of famous people visit my island, stood in ridiculous queues to sell turnips, and I also live for the copious amount of terrible puns in this game. And there you have it, my top gaming moments of 2020. What are some of your favorite games and moments from the year that never should have been? What games are you currently playing that are helping you get through the pandemic? I'd love to hear from you all, so please be sure to let me know in the comments. I also plan on making a ton more videos, so if you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button and do the thing with me. Wait, no, that came out wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching, it really means the world.